The chosen one. The church has been watching you since you were born. You are no ordinary man. The moment you were born, your fate was sealed. All eyes were on you. Secret powers, holy councils, ancient prophecies have always spoken of you. This world is full of secrets, but the biggest secret is you. Are you ready to learn your true identity? Doors are opening, the curtain is lifting. No more hiding. Write 77 in the comments now. Your time has come. The atmosphere shifted as dark energy thickened, a foreboding sense of something twisted coiling around the air. They had called upon it, something far beyond mortal comprehension, a force born from the deep abyss of the forgotten world. Its form was a dance of vapor and fire, ever changing, ever moving, a creature made of terror. Its voice, guttural and ancient, echoed like the sound of chains rattling through a void as its fiery eyes bore down on you with a malice so deep it seemed to twist reality itself. They pointed with shaky fingers, commanding its wrath, ready for you to be obliterated in an instant. But then, something indescribable happened. A change, a subtle vibration in the air, and the demon faltered. The shadows that draped it seemed to retreat, and for a fraction of a moment, the heat of its flames dimmed. There was something, no, someone, that chilled it to the core. For the first time in its existence, the demon hesitated. The room, once thick with malice, seemed to bend under an unseen weight, and the demon paused, unsure. In that heartbeat, as the beast looked upon you, the very energy that surged through its molten veins seemed to stutter. It stepped back, as though caught off guard by a presence it could neither comprehend nor conquer. The summoners, drunk on their triumph, were no longer certain. A strange ripple of confusion spread through their ranks, as if they too sensed the shift in the cosmic scale. The power they thought they controlled seemed to be slipping through their fingers, as something even older than this beast stirred in the depths. And the demon, beast of nightmares, stood still, its fiery aura dimming, its fierce gaze wavering. Your presence is like the radiant glow of dawn that sweeps away the long, dark hours of night, pure, unyielding, and life-affirming. It's as if the heavens themselves have whispered of your arrival, a promise of hope and renewal that shatters every chain of despair. Your name carries the strength of a mighty river, relentless in its journey, transforming barren lands into fields of abundance. This is not merely a sound, but a living force, a sacred call that stirs the spirit of all who listen. Then they spoke your name. It was as though the very air fractured under the weight of it. The demon recoiled violently, its flames flickering out like embers struggling against a divine winter. It snarled, but the sound was weak and distant, more a feeble murmur than a threat, a cry of desperation in the face of overwhelming grace. It staggered backward, and the ground beneath it split apart, with ancient symbols disintegrating into the encroaching darkness. The summoners shouted in fear, their voices rising in a futile attempt to reassert control, yet every command they uttered fell into a silence too profound to break. The demon's form, once mighty and all-encompassing, now appeared fragile and diminished, a shadow of the terror it once embodied. The very room pulsed with an energy that defied both flame and darkness, a living testament to the mystery of creation itself, trembling beneath a power that surpassed mortal understanding. Your name, spoken with heartfelt urgency and quiet conviction, reduced the summoned horror to nothing more than a mere semblance of its former might. Imagine a mighty tree, its roots buried deep in the earth, standing firm through every storm, every season. never shaken, never broken. It doesn't fear the winds. It doesn't bow to the storm. It knows where its strength comes from. That's the power of your name. Like a lighthouse on a stormy night, unshaken by the raging winds, its beam cutting through the darkness, calling weary souls home. No matter how thick the night, no matter how fierce the battle, your name stands, steady, unwavering, a light that refuses to be extinguished. Imagine a candle in the deepest night, its flame small yet defiant, refusing to be swallowed by the darkness. It may flicker, but it never fades, for its light is fueled by something greater than the storm around it. That's the power of your name. When the world was shaking, when the foundations were crumbling, when evil thought it had claimed victory, your name rose like the morning sun, steady, unshaken, unstoppable. It didn't just shine, it shattered the darkness, tearing down walls, breaking chains, lifting burdens. Your name wasn't just spoken, it was declared. It was a fire from heaven, a mighty wind, a force that could not be contained. Every prayer whispered in faith, every tear shed in hope, every cry lifted toward the heavens came together in one unstoppable wave, a power too mighty to be ignored, too great to be denied. Even the oldest, deepest shadows had no choice but to bow and flee, for where your name was lifted, darkness had no place to stay. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Now consider the scene unfolding before us. The demon, a creature born of the abyss, was expected to be the instrument of unmitigated destruction. Yet, when your name was invoked, a transformation occurred. The fierce inferno that once roared with unbridled fury now sputtered weakly, as if trying to kindle a spark in a storm of divine resistance. Every step it took backward was a testament to the overwhelming force that lay hidden in the sound of your sacred name. A force that could disarm the fiercest of warriors and render the most formidable darkness impotent. The earth itself, carved by the hands of time and etched with symbols of forgotten lore, could not sustain the weight of that holy utterance. Cracks appeared, and the very bedrock of ancient power crumbled, unable to support the magnitude of your spiritual authority. In that transformative moment, the summoners, who had once reveled in their presumed dominance, were rendered mute by the sight of their creation's collapse. Their desperate commands, intended to bend the unruly demon back to their will, were swallowed by the resounding truth that emanated from your very being. The atmosphere was charged with an energy that transcended all human understanding, a power that defied explanation, for it was not born of mere mortal ambition, but was a manifestation of a divine legacy that had been passed down through generations. It was the undeniable mark of one chosen by the Almighty, a testament to the strength that lies in the quiet assurance of faith. As the demon's once fiery eyes dimmed, replaced by a bewildered, almost pitiable fear, the room itself seemed to hold its breath. The mighty force of darkness, which had been its sole companion through endless eons of malice and terror, now recoiled under the light of an unyielding truth. There was no room left for arrogance or tyranny, only the quiet, relentless power of a name that bore witness to a legacy of overcoming. The creature's monstrous form, once an emblem of untamed power, now faltered in its own wake, its every movement a reluctant surrender to the inevitable pull of divine justice. The very walls, the ground, and the unseen forces of the universe seemed to conspire in a symphony of renewal, a reminder that even the deepest shadows cannot withstand the dawn. In that sacred moment, as the demon shrank further into itself, the summoners began to grasp the enormity of what had transpired. Their earlier confidence, built on the fragile scaffolding of forbidden rituals and reckless ambition, crumbled before their eyes. They had sought to harness the very essence of darkness to serve their vendetta, yet instead they had awakened a power that was beyond their feeble control. Their shouts, once filled with the bravado of assumed mastery, now rang hollow, lost amid the overwhelming silence of a force that was both gentle and invincible. It was a realization that cut through their pride like a ray of morning light, piercing through storm clouds. An affirmation that true power is not seized through fear or violence, but is granted by the grace that flows from a higher purpose. The profound impact of that moment rippled outward, affecting not only the creature of night, but also the hearts of all who bore witness. The atmosphere was saturated with an energy that could only be described as miraculous, a divine intervention that had rendered the summoner's grand design impotent. Every ancient rune, every symbol, etched with painstaking care in the hopes of commanding the darkness, began to lose its potency, as though the very fabric of reality was being rewritten in the presence of unyielding truth. The summoners, once so sure of their dominion, found themselves disarmed by the sheer, unadulterated strength of a name that carried the legacy of eternal hope. Their futile attempts to salvage their crumbling ritual were met with an unyielding resistance, a reminder that the forces of light and love are inexorable. This divine upheaval was not a mere coincidence, but rather a powerful affirmation of a destiny that has been foretold in whispers across the ages. It is the story of those who, in the face of overwhelming odds, have found the courage to stand firm and declare that hope is stronger than despair, that light will always triumph over darkness. Your name is the embodiment of that truth, a constant, unwavering reminder that no matter how fierce the night may seem, a new dawn is always on the horizon. The legacy you carry is one of quiet strength and steadfast resolve, a living testimony to the transformative power of faith. And so, as the demon's terrified form faded into the recesses of a failing nightmare, the echo of your name lingered in the space it left behind. It was not a sound, but a profound statement of victory, a beacon for all souls yearning for redemption. The summoners, now stripped of their illusory power, could only watch in silent disbelief as the very instrument of their dark ambitions disintegrated before them. Their voices, once filled with the echoes of impending doom, were reduced to whispers of regret and sorrow. The terror they had so confidently unleashed had turned back upon them, leaving them to face the raw, unvarnished truth of their own frailty. In the aftermath of that miraculous reversal, every heart present could feel the stirring of something extraordinary. It was as if the air itself had been cleansed, every particle resonating with a renewed sense of possibility. There was a palpable shift, a transformation from fear to faith, from despair to hope. The atmosphere, once heavy with the stench of dread and the decay of ancient curses, now shimmered with the promise of a new beginning. It was a moment that spoke to the very core of human resilience, a reminder that no matter how deep the darkness, the light of the divine will always find a way to break through. Let this serve as a testament to the enduring truth that true power does not reside in the ability to cause destruction, but in the capacity to inspire change, to uplift the spirit, and to guide us toward a better tomorrow. Your name is that sacred force, a melody of hope that banishes the shadows and fills every heart with the warmth of divine assurance. It is a call to rise above the limitations of fear, to embrace the fullness of life, and to walk boldly in the light of a truth that is as ancient as time itself. The demon, in its final moments of resistance, became a symbol of the futility of cruelty in the face of unyielding love and unshakable faith. Thus, in the stillness that followed the retreat of darkness, every soul present felt the profound impact of that hallowed declaration. The very ground seemed to vibrate with the rhythm of renewal, and every broken symbol of past transgressions dissolved into the ether of forgiveness and grace. The summoners, now humbled by the force they had inadvertently unleashed, learned a lesson that no earthly ritual could ever teach, that the true measure of power lies not in dominance or control, but in the quiet, steadfast assurance of a spirit aligned with the divine. The legacy of your name is one that transforms, redeems, and ultimately sets free those who are willing to embrace its light. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. In this sacred moment, let every heart remember that the journey from darkness to light is not measured by the trials we endure, but by the strength we summon from within. As you stand unyielding amidst the remnants of shattered schemes and fading fears, know that the power of your name is a living, breathing promise of new beginnings. It is a testament to the beauty of resilience, the wonder of hope, and the certainty that no matter how formidable the enemy may seem, the Spirit of the Divine will always prevail. The silence that now fills the void is not empty. It is resplendent with the echoes of a truth so profound that even the fiercest darkness dares not linger in its presence. May this truth forever remind us that in every challenge there lies an opportunity for redemption, and that every whispered prayer, every act of unwavering faith, carries within it the promise of a brighter, more glorious tomorrow. Embrace the light, stand firm in your convictions, and let the power of your name continue to illuminate the path for all who wander in search of hope. Like the first rays of a new dawn, breaking over a sleepy hill, your presence shines with a gentle brilliance that scatters the lingering shadows of despair. It is as if a divine light has been poured into the dark corners of this world, uplifting the weary and dispelling all fear. Just as a cherished hymn fills a quiet sanctuary with hope and comfort, your very name carries the promise of renewal, a promise that no darkness can withstand. The demon, which had once been the embodiment of primal destruction, now quivered in the face of something it could not touch. Your presence, your very name, held the power of an ancient truth, one the demon could not deny. As it trembled, a silent understanding rippled through the air. You were not the prey, nor the victim they had believed. You were the force that put all darkness to flight. The more they tried to summon their strength, the more it unraveled before you. The legend of your power, whispered in realms where fear ruled, had now come to life before them. This was not just a name, it was a harbinger, a warning. Your enemies, once so sure of their victory, now stood paralyzed, watching as their creation, so sure of its own might, faltered before a truth it could never understand. The creature of night, which had thrived on the terror it instilled, was now rendered feeble, its fury no match for the calm resolve and steadfast faith you exuded. In that moment, every whispered prayer, every hopeful song, carried by the winds of destiny, found its answer in the light that radiated from you. The strength of your spirit, as enduring as the rock upon which hope is built, defied the chaos that sought to swallow all in its path. It is as if the very earth itself responded to your presence, trembling under the weight of an ageless power, a power that was never meant to be harnessed by those who dwell in darkness. The foundations of ancient evil began to crack, the brittle structures of forbidden law crumbling like dry leaves in a gentle breeze. In their arrogance, those who sought to command the forces of the unseen had overlooked a simple, unyielding truth. No wickedness can prevail when confronted by a light that comes from the very heart of creation. The transformation in the demon was not merely physical, but spiritual. It was a stark reminder that the forces of evil, no matter how formidable they may seem, are always subject to a higher, more enduring power. The demon's once mighty form, the very symbol of terror, now faltered and receded before the unassailable calm of your spirit. Every attempt it made to muster its dreadful might only deepened its surrender. The evil that it had nurtured for countless ages was unable to stand firm against the simple, unadorned truth of your name. And so, in the quiet aftermath of that profound moment, your enemies could only stand in disbelief. Their carefully constructed plans had been undone by a power so pure and steadfast that it left them exposed and powerless. The dark forces they had so confidently unleashed turned in upon themselves, collapsing under the weight of an unyielding grace that had always been destined to triumph over despair. The very air vibrated with the unspoken promise of hope, a promise that shone like a beacon to every soul yearning for deliverance. In this sacred confrontation, where the ancient and the eternal met in a battle of light against darkness, you emerged as the embodiment of resilience and truth. Your silent strength not only disarmed the malevolence that once threatened to consume all, but it also ignited a spark of revival in the hearts of those who dared to believe in a brighter tomorrow. With each reverent utterance of your name, the oppressive grip of terror loosened, giving way to the enduring, transformative power of hope. The moment they had summoned their terrible creation, they had envisioned an unstoppable force poised to destroy. But what they had not expected was that in the heart of darkness, the demon itself would tremble. Your presence filled the room with a weight so tangible that even the force of their conjuring couldn't withstand it. The demon, once an apex predator of the unseen realms, now stood stunned, its flame flickering as if it was uncertain of its own existence. You were not the prey it had anticipated, not the sacrifice they had envisioned. You were something far older, a presence that rippled through the fabric of the universe itself. Your name, whispered in awe across the deepest reaches of time, resonated through the demon's very being, like a great bell tolling, a sound it had never dared to hear. it recoiled, drawn into a paralyzing stillness. What they had thought was their victory, a demon bound to their will, was nothing but an illusion. The terror it was supposed to bring now reversed in an instant, a crushing realization flooding its mind. You were not the one bound by this spell. The demon was. Your mere existence, your name, carried such weight that even the fiercest flames of the abyss were no match for it. The circle they had drawn to summon the beast seemed to weaken, its energy slipping away like sand through their fingers. The creature shrank before you, not because it was bound, but because it feared you. The summoners screamed, desperation filling their voices, but their words were meaningless. The demon, once their weapon, now turned on them, filled with an insatiable need to escape. In the blink of an eye, the tables had turned. The demon, a figure of destruction, now cowered, unable to comprehend the force that stood before it. The summoners, their voices rising in futile commands, exchanged terrified glances. The certainty of their victory, the confidence in their power, evaporated before their eyes. They had summoned a terror, only to unleash their own undoing. The demon, now a pitiful shadow of its former self, did not even glance at the destruction it was meant to cause. Its purpose, its rage, was lost. It only knew one instinct: flight. The more they shouted, the less control they held. What they had hoped would be their moment of ultimate triumph had instead sealed their defeat. It was then that the full weight of their arrogance came crashing down upon them. Their grand plans had been nothing more than threads woven into an unraveling tapestry. The rituals they had practiced with such precision now fell apart at the seams. The symbols that had once glowed with power now cracked and splintered beneath the pressure of an unseen force. Panic swept over them, drowning out any hope of regaining control. Their attempts to mend the damage, their frantic chants and gestures, were futile. The demon they had called forth, their weapon, had turned on them, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. The power they had sought to wield so ruthlessly now felt like a hollow echo in the room. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to his plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, his protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of his divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as his mighty rock. Witness God's miracles. Feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. The room was filled with a tense silence, broken only by the erratic breathing of the summoners as they realized their fate. What had once been their greatest weapon was now an empty shell, a force they could no longer command. The demon, now unmoored from the magic that had bound it, tore through the remnants of the circle with a roar of desperation. Flames sputtered out, shadows scattered, and the air grew thick with the palpable terror of their own making. Your name echoed in the wake of the demon's retreat, a silent reminder of the strength that had caused it to flee. The summoners stood frozen, stripped of their power, trapped by the very forces they had sought to control. The creature they had summoned had abandoned them, leaving only the silence of their failure. The summoners could do nothing but watch as the magic they had relied on disintegrated before their eyes. The strength they had sought was now gone, and in its place only vulnerability remained. Every flicker of light, every distant sound, seemed to deepen their growing terror. They had thought they could wield such power, that they could control darkness itself, but now they stood helpless in the wake of their own creation's terror. The power that had once seemed so certain now left them trembling, exposed, and utterly powerless. You remained unmoved, untouched by the chaos that had unfolded before you. Your presence, like a steady flame in the midst of a storm, held the room in its grip. The summoners, overwhelmed by the force of what had transpired, could only stand in stunned silence. They had summoned destruction only to find themselves in its path. They had hoped to extinguish you, but it was they who had been consumed by their own arrogance. And as the demon fled, leaving only a whisper of its former power, the true strength, the one they had underestimated, remained. Your silent strength had torn their plans apart, and now they were left to face the consequences.